Hello and welcome to the Cybersecurity Insider. Thank you for watching. Today we are live. This is a test podcast. We're trying to see how that works for us, and we have some changes in the channel. So let's talk about some of the changes. So we're gonna create some a new shorts, and we're gonna create different topics and playlists. So everything will be organized in a different way. And so today, because this is like in the middle of the week, and I have some break, and after coming back from a long time that I didn't do any broadcast, didn't say anything, it was just very quiet. But I don't think that I was not doing anything. I didn't sit on my butt and ate potato chips. I just was very busy, extremely busy. And today we're going to talk about backup and restore. And we have at some point, I'm going to prepare a special episode talking about the investigations, specifically to Office 365, and what's some of the steps that you need to do in order to secure your environment. So I prepared here a presentation here, and let me get this up on the screen. And okay, so this is it. And before we start operating the keyboard, okay. So of course, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe this channel. We're trying to give some information here that will help you to think really before you do something. And this is specifically goes with again cybersecurity, but especially with coming with backup and restore. We do a lot of things and say, okay, we're gonna have a backup on the cloud, or we're gonna have something else to do. Well, you need to have some sort of a plan before you go and you do something, and think from A to Z until you get something that is correct. Behind me, there is a monitor that I was trying to connect it, but nothing is working for me, so it's okay. We are used to those issues. Anyway, so let's dive deep into the disaster recovery planning. And really, we need to have a plan, some sort of a plan here, because if you start to do something, but you don't think all the way, okay, what's going to be if you don't have about if, and this requires critical thinking and how to do that. So let's go and dive into the presentation. So this is a real case that we had a few months ago. In the picture, you see a picture that was sent to me by the IT manager of this customer, and say, okay, we lost all virtual machines. Basically, the business now is, how should I say it? It's down with no ability to do anything. So let's talk about the client footprint. So they have 3 virtualization hosts. Currently they have 2 VMware hosts. And so in the beginning, they had Hyper-V Microsoft 2, Hyper Microsoft virtual machine hosts. And slowly we are now phasing out from Microsoft, and we are taking them to VMware. And my personal opinion about this, I'm not such a favor of Microsoft. I think that the virtualization Hyper-V doesn't have all the features that VMware provides, like vMotion, for instance, that you can motion. But maybe I'm mistaken. Somebody else can correct me. But as far as I could see, with this kind of virtualization, they don't have what you need. You need the ability to migrate, let's say, a virtual machine, all the virtual machines from one host to another host, because you need to do some sort of maintenance, or because you have some breach and you need to restore. And we're going to talk about this later on. So now they have 2 virtual machines, 2 hosts that are VMware, vSphere, and one host that it's Hyper-V, Microsoft. And of course, all the versions of the Windows needs to be updated and upgraded because of they're already done with maintenance time by Microsoft. And they have about 12 virtual machines. They have file servers, SQL, Access databases, domain controllers, 2 domain controllers, and QuickBooks, but a lot of applications, specifically Microsoft Access and Microsoft SQL. And they have also Salesforce that they communicate with all the orders, they download all the orders, they upload products. They have a lot of, so it's not only the on-prem, but also they have a cloud applications such as Salesforce. So they need to communicate and process the orders inside, internally. And this is how they operate. People operate differently. Some like to have all the presence on the cloud. Some want to have presence not on the cloud. Maybe they want to have some sort of hybrid. Some companies like to have hybrid, not to. And by the way, this specific customer, was planning to go on cloud fully with all the applications and use Azure, but they decided to go back and cost thousands of dollars per month just to have few virtual machines. The SQL database and domain controllers was really a lot in terms of expense to handle. Okay. With that specific case, they had only one storage device. As you can see, this is in the picture. This is a storage device. It's connected with 2 wires that goes directly to the host. So there's no another host. There's no another storage device. It's only one storage device. And this is a big problem because if you need to recover, you can't recover anywhere. We're going to recover. If you have a problem with that hardware, in this case, they had a hardware issue. Now, remember, all the virtual machines are there. So that's it. You're done. You're toast. And they had a local backup that goes to USB. And I don't need to stress this enough. You can't use USB as a backup. It's okay if you need to restore 1 file, 2 files, 10 files, 30 files. I don't know the size. But that, you can't restore the entire virtual machines. If you need to restore terabytes of virtual machines, it's going to take you weeks and weeks and weeks until you be able to have the data. So let's say you have the storage device and you need to restore it from USB. I made my point. I don't need to continue speaking on this. And then they had cloud backup for all virtual machines. And this is really what saved them, because if we had to restore it from the USB, it would take us weeks and weeks. But not to think that cloud is the best backup that you have. It's better to have another place where you back up your information, not only on-premise, and this is what they have on premises, but they have also cloud. Okay, so let's talk about the case itself, and really, and through the questions we're going to go there, we're going to see what happened there. So when we need to talk about backup and restore, first we need to understand what we have. What are mapping all the critical applications, where they're located. So let's say you have email and you're using Office 365, and maybe you're using Azure, or maybe using AWS, and maybe, I don't know, all those cloud applications all over Dropbox, Box, anything that you can imagine can be listed here, but you need to understand what is critical to your operations. So let's say if you have an order system that it's on-prem, but you pull orders from the cloud, so you have the cloud, nothing happened there, but the operations are not functioning because your on-prem systems are down. For whatever reason, can be ransomware, can be, as you saw, hardware, right? And the hardware issue can be also a case for a ransomware or some sort of a cyber attack. So after discussing all the locations, where are my critical applications? The locations, it's maybe in a different place in the country, and maybe it's abroad, I don't know, maybe in the UK, Europe, I don't know, wherever it is. You need also to consider downtime. How long can you be down with those systems, with those critical applications? Can it be a day, an hour? I had a conversation last week with another customer speaking about this topic. And I said, listen, this is what happened. And we need to discuss it. You know, you do backup, and what do you backup? And one time I had the opportunity to look at the system. I said, do you backup this somewhere? He said, I don't know. I need to speak with the IT, that with the company, with the MSP that helps them. And then we found that it does the local backup to the virtual machine. So from the source to the destination, it's the same, but it's backup the Active Directory components. Doesn't back up the data, doesn't back up the image, nothing. So let's assume that this virtual machine, again, they have 7 virtual machines and 2 VMware hosts. If those something happened, he won't be able to recover because there's no backup, nothing. So no on-prem backup and no cloud backup. I want to listen this, you to listen this. No cloud and no on-prem backup. Okay, and this is enough, because if this is going to happen, they're going to be down. So I said, we can be down for 7 days. Nothing really critical here. I said, okay, nothing critical. It's okay. But you need to have some sort of backup. Not to have backup at all is not the solution. So if you have a local backup, on-prem backup, you need to know that if in a ransomware case, and all ransomware to this date, we're going to encrypt the data, the virtual machines or workstation, whatever you have there, but also will encrypt the backups that you have, because they have the capability to go in and move from one place to another and infect all the systems and ask for the ransom. So how much data can you lose? Can you lose a day, 2 days, 4 days, 2 days? I don't know. You need to decide. It's your call as the person who's watching this, and you have data, you have a business. You need to think and ask yourself, how long can we lose the data? Some people say, listen, we need a hourly backup because everything is critical by us. Okay, so you need to do that. And speaking about this, and I mentioned it in the beginning, when we did the backup, the cloud backup for this specific customer, we said, okay, we need to have another location because we have on-prem backup. We didn't have a discussion about the USB backup, but they said, okay, it's good to have the cloud backup. So, okay, we're going to provide the cloud backup. But when we did the cloud backup, we didn't think about the restore. How can we restore? How long is it going to take? We didn't do all this thinking. Nobody did any thinking. And this is our bad as being a consultant to this customer, that we didn't come and ask all those questions to begin with. This is very, very bad from our perspective. This is how I see it. But again, not to help you. We want to help you. That's why I have this conversation with you. And of course, you can choose to do whatever you want to do with whatever the information that I provided. Okay, so let's talk about the requirements. Okay, ability to restore. So I need to think, okay, if I need to restore a few files, okay, it's going to take short time. Even off the cloud, it's going to take, I don't know, a few minutes, depending what you're trying to recover. If it's a local backup, it's going to take a few minutes. And then, do we need to restore entire virtual machines? That can take gigs and terabytes, depending how much information you have and how many virtual machines you have. You need to consider that. So speaking about that, how long it's going to take you to restore, even though it's a local backup and you're using USB, and I hope you don't USB, and I hope that you are not using backup tapes, because we had a customer that has backups using backup tapes. This is no. You can't use backup tapes, because those backups are, 10, 20 years ago. We used to use those. And back then, it was not considered safe. So going back, everybody is going to the cloud. this craze. I'm going to host my data on the cloud. Okay, excellent. You don't need to host anything on premises. That's excellent. It's good for you. Now, think about this. If your internet is down, your entire office will be down, even if you're using cloud. So think about this. This is about critical thinking, okay? So if my internet is down, or my firewall is down, or my router is down, or my switch got, I don't know, malfunction, nothing is working there, you need to replace it. Do you have spare parts in a house? Even let's say we take the assumption that everything is on the cloud, okay? Everything is on the cloud. Email, applications, whatever. So let's say you lose the connectivity. Somehow it happens. Some hardware failure or internet connectivity, the ISP is down, Verizon, Comcast, whoever, it doesn't matter the name really, and it's down. What would you do? How long is it going to take you to go get a replacement connection to the internet so your office can function? Because it doesn't matter if you're on the cloud or not. You can function, you can run the business. Fine. And if you need to restore from the cloud, and this is the only restore that you have, what kind of connection do you have to the internet? Your bandwidth will be sufficient to download all the files quickly, quick enough. Can take days, can take weeks until you get the data. Okay. So think about this. Okay. So let's talk about some scenarios, and I just want to spark your thinking, just to think about the scenarios. And I'm going to talk probably only of 3 scenarios. One of them, and they are basic scenarios, hardware failure. So let's say you have a host hardware failures. It can be also workstation failure. Okay, the box is toast, the hard drive is not doing anything, it makes a lot of noise, and the computer doesn't boot. Okay, so what we're going to do? Okay, oh, maybe we need to have an extra hard drive so we can swap the drives, reinstall. And if that happens, do I have somewhere to restore to this new hard drive? Okay, so I can go to Best Buy, Steppers, whoever, contact your IT person in MSP. They're going to ship you a drive. We're going to drop a hard drive. And okay, so how long is it going to take you to rebuild that machine? You need to install the operating system, the applications that you had there, all the updates. It's going to take a few hours. And then what about the data that you had there? Maybe you didn't have any data. It still is going to take you time. So do you have a source where to restore the files from, the image from? So in this case, it's the hardware issue. It was not the host, but it was the storage device. So how can we spin those virtual machines? Can we restore those virtual machines? How are we going to restore those virtual machines? How long is it going to take us? And in case we have a problem with the host in virtualization environment, do we have another capable host to spin those virtual machines? So let's say I have a local backup and I can restore the backups, okay? I need to have another host that is capable to hold all those virtual machines. Do I have enough resources? Do I have enough virtual CPUs? Do I have enough storage, right, to host it? Do I have enough memory to provide the requirements for all those virtual machines, especially if you have SQL databases that they require more resources? Do I have that capability in-house? If not, you need to think about this, how you do this. Okay. Second case, ransomware attack or some sort of a network breach that affects all the systems. Again, with this, we can compare this to storage failure, because the storage is like thinking that you have ransomware and everything is inaccessible. So what do you do now? So now if you have a local backup, assume that this local backup was encrypted also. Okay, it doesn't matter if it sits on a special box, a NAS, because that NAS is accessible. And now if you do, and you should, do some segmentation on your network, so things will be separated. Not everything should be on the same network. So if you have a segregation of networks, it's another layer of protection. Okay. So if can you spin those virtual machines from another host? Yes, no. How long it's going to take? Again, because you need to restore the data, spin those virtual machines, not to say that they're going to have maybe compatibility issues. You need to hash those things right now. Okay, and I think soon you're going to come to the end of this a presentation podcast, if you will. And let's talk about the next steps. So what are they? So you need to have a conversation, have an internal conversation with the IT if you have an IT manager. If you don't, and you're using some sort of a IT company, MSP company, managed services provider to come and help you maintaining your environment, you need to ask them those questions. You need to bring those to their attention that you're thinking about this and ask them those heavy questions. How long is it going to take us to recover? You said we have cloud backup, right? How can we bring our business? Can we test our backup or our disaster recovery scenarios? Can we do some sort of simulation, real simulation, for instance? Let's assume we have a ransomware. Let's play a ransomware. Let's try to encrypt. Let's see what's going on. Can we detect a ransomware? What's going on with the backup? Do we know that the backups are functioning? Can we test and restore some files? Maybe restore one virtual machine and see how that long takes. So you need to draft a plan. Speaking about all those scenarios, you need to build it and test it. And I should say it to me as well and my team and to everybody that listens. Draft a plan, build it, test it, make sure that it works. And then use the feedback that you got from all the tests to say, okay, maybe this time it's too much. It takes us too long to restore the data. What can we do in order to expedite this? And of course, have a good partner that if you need a cloud backup, like in our case, we had to bring down in as I started with this presentation, that we had now to restore all the data from our backup to a storage device and drive to the customer, bring everything with us, including another host, VMware host, a switch so we can network the devices, and bring also the storage device with all the virtual machines already restored. So when we got there, we placed all the equipment, connect the power, connect all the cables, and start spinning the virtual machines. And of course, we'll have issues. It's always like that. So thank God we were able to restore and all the data, everything, and they were happy because they were operational after 5 days. Considering the other case that we had with this company that got a jewelry store that they got the ransomware, and it took them 71 days to restore and bring everything up to date. Even not up to date because all the information, all the orders that now to key in all the manual orders they had to key in order to get back to where they were after, I should say. And then use that feedback in order to build a better system, improve the system, see where you're lacking, and get partners, good partners that you can know that if something happens, they can take whatever they need in order to go to you and do the restore and bring you back to business. So this brings to the end to this presentation, podcast, if you like. And of course, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe this video. And if you have any kind of questions, you need to bring a question. You have a request. You didn't understand something. Whatever it is, please send us an email to the email that you see here, the podcast at thecybersecurity.com. We have a website. The website is not exactly functioning. Again, we need IT. We need to fix things. And yeah, I'm done for today. So again, plan. You need to plan. Draft the plan, build it, test it, and then use the feedback in order to correct and improve whatever was done there. So, with that, we are concluding. Can't speak now. Our podcast. Thank you for watching. This is Yigal Behar from the Cybersecurity Insider. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. And where is the stop?